Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our humble abode, the Thunderdome, on this NFL Week 11 kickoff Thursday, November 14th, 2024. This program starts now. Football! It is awesome. Sports in general are the greatest thing to ever exist. We can't thank you enough for allowing us to do this for a living. Got a massive show.
What a great plan by Jim.
Sunday Night Football, right?
Yeah, I don't know the day or the night.
Yeah, I think that was when I tackled Trey.
It was holiday.
We won that game. You know, and the first guy in the office the next day was Pep. And he goes, that was the right decision. I apologize for coming. You made the right move.
Okay, that's awesome. I appreciate that.
So now we won the game and all that. So I don't know what that conversation would have been like had we not pulled that game out. But
that was the most watched Sunday Night Football game, I think, up to that point. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, Peyton's return. Before the game, the round of applause that Peyton got from that crowd was awesome.
And rightfully so.
I remember being on the field for it. Obviously, I'm punting, and I'm standing there, and he takes his helmet. Peyton's like one of the most locked-in people of all time. I think that's, like, documented. Everybody knows that. Him taking his helmet off, though, and doing, like, one of these I think it was like I think he was like a human there for a little bit. Puts it back on. I don't know. I think his drive start average that game was like the 10-yard line or something. Somebody had quite a night. Somebody had quite a night.
So didn't they do a tribute to him, right? Yes. That got in his
there was a full-on.
Oh, and then because he hated the window of the roof, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
what are we doing?
But that thing was never open. Like when
if
he
you were
was
winning.
Me and a lot of other people are wondering what's going on with, Anthony Richardson and the Colts. Did you hear what he said? What do you think about the move to go back to him? And then did you hear what Kenny Moore said? What do you think that has anything to do with, what's going on in that building?
Yeah, so second part first, like it's alarming anytime one of the players comes out, and says that. And it's not like what he said, like I'm not going to candy coat or whatever Kenny said.
Sugarcoat.
I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, candy coat anything, and he just spoke his truth. Now, whether he was talking about the entire locker room or a few guys here and there, Quentin Nelson backed him up on it, not whatever, and I think Gus Bradley came out and said, sometimes uncomfortable things got to be said, right?
Yes.
And the truth has to be said. So kudos to Ken, because Kenny shows up. Kenny prepares. My whole time there was with Kenny, so I love it, and hopefully it doesn't fall on deaf ears.
Yeah, I hope so, too.
And then with AR, I was fired up as anybody to see, him go back in there. We all wanted Joe, to have success out there and be the Joe, but after two games, and the turnovers and the losses and things like that, to go back, I think he's learned his lesson. I think he's, grown up. I've read the quotes. There's some things about, sacrifices that you would feel honestly, just being honest here, like coming into it, like we should know that already.
Yes.
But then let's go back and say, okay, we've got a 22-year-old. We got an immature young player that needs to grow up, and he needs to grow up in a hurry. He needs to grow up a lot faster than any of us, want him to. Like yesterday, like grow up. So it sounds like, he got the message. He understood the ramifications. Every decision you make, you got consequences. So there was consequences. So hopefully we start to see. So the proof will be in the pudding. He's saying all the right things. His teammates are saying all the right things. They're supporting him. We know he's got talent out the yin yang, right?
Yep. Yeah,
but now it's got to be like the first car in the parking lot, got to be his, and the last one to leave, got to be his. And you got to do that day after day. He mentioned the word consistency, right?
Yep.
He's had issues with consistency. But this guy hasn't been the guy. He hasn't played. We knew that going into this thing. So, I'm rooting big time like you guys are for Anthony. And decide, like, okay, I'm going to be on time. Was that it, right? Be on time.
Early on time.
No excuses.
No excuses, right?
Team first.
Put the team first. What did we have in the team room when I was there, right? We had
Hustle,
two things.
loyalty, respect.
And the other side was what? Team.
You can't see me.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was trust, loyalty, respect.
It was all about the team, right?
Yes.
And it was us. Unity over self.
Big team, little B.
That's what us stood for, was unity over self.
Bills, Chiefs. I believe the last 6 games, Tone shared with me, the Bills are 3-0 in the regular season versus the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs are 3-0 in the playoffs versus the Bills. How do you see this game going, and should we favor those stats and go for the Bills? Because they are favored, I believe, by 2.5 in some places.
Yeah. I mean, Patrick Mahomes as an underdog is always something people are going to want to play. Look, I think the Bills, this is an interesting contrast in games, right? Because the Bills are a nickel defense that needs to play from in front. And the Chiefs are now become a power run team. And they won't have Pacheco back in this game, but with Kareem Hunt, they want to run the ball. Denver did a good job. You watch that Denver game. Mahomes is going to be sore after that game. Denver played him as well as anybody did last week. And they really exposed the tackle situation of Kansas City, which is starting a young rookie at left tackle in Taylor. And I think Buffalo's got to take advantage of it. I think Buffalo's ability to run the ball. Last year, they ran the ball 39 times in that playoff game for 178 yards. They threw it 39 times for 170-some yards, right? They had a big play to Diggs that he dropped. That was one of the killers. And then they missed the 44-yarder by Bass. So they know they can play him. And Josh Allen is playing so well. I think this game is going to be just a little bit of an indication. I would lean towards taking Mahomes in the points because of him being so good as a dog. But let's face it, the home field in the AFC, unless we have some kind of miracle, is going to go through Kansas City. I don't see Kansas City losing more than 2 games.
The Buffalo Bills, I just watched them live in person this past weekend.
Ooh.
Josh Allen is a spectacle.
Yeah.
The amount of moxie that guy has, it is
Great.
absurd. He's bigger than you think he is whenever you see him in person. And then the confidence in which he carries himself. And then his team loves him. Like, his team absolutely loves him. He had a touchdown where we tackled him a little bit late, and obviously everybody wants to celebrate. There were 6 dudes flying in ready to fight for him in that moment. And then obviously the MVP chants started raining through our stadium, which I don't necessarily love. But the fact that we got Kansas City Buffalo this week, that calls for celebration.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, they might be cursed. I mean, there's a chance they're cursed. It doesn't matter, any of it, but the future's bright.
I don't know about that. I think you can't hire Coach Brick. Like, I'm sure those guys love him, but I think they need to go hire Vrabel. Like, they have the defensive, like, they have the pieces in place. He's a guy who can come in and, like, actually establish a culture. Like, they've just been bouncing from guy to guy. Like, they haven't had anyone who's since Rex Ryan, really, who, like, has established a culture. And then, you know, the Rodgers piece of it, like, that's a whole nother conversation. But I think they need to get someone in there who has, like, an established program and is a guy who, like, can win. You can't just get one of these, like, young OCs who's the hot new name who's never had a head coaching job before. They have a bunch of talent in place on the defense. We always hear how good their defense is. Go hire Vrabel. Like, he's a proven winner.
Now
he has a presence about him. Vrabes has a presence about him that I think does well in a New York type setting.
And his press conferences.
He's brash.
His press conferences would be awesome. The general manager of the Chiefs, Brett Veach.
How you guys doing?
Hey, sorry we made you wait there a little bit. We were having a full conversation about, like, coaches, GMs, how you build a culture, how you do all that, because it's obviously a big talking point with everything happening around the NFL. Feels like you guys have your culture, and everybody that comes in there understands it. Is that an accurate depiction? And whenever you and Andy Reid start together, how does that become the culture that you have? Is it you? Is it Andy? Are you hands off on it? What is, you think, the biggest contributor to the culture you guys have in Kansas City right now, Brett?
Yeah, I certainly think the time that Coach and I have spent together, I mean, it dates back all the way to, I think 2006 we started working together, and not just Coach, but my relationship with obviously Coach Nagy, who I played college ball with, and Coach Spag. So there's a lot of respect and a lot of trust in this whole process here, and obviously it starts with Coach Reid, and it just trickles down.
Whenever you talk about the players buying in, obviously you have to have your superstars buy in for everybody else. Can you tell me about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce this year, Chris Jones, all the OGs on your team, and how they operate, and how it's kind of they're the ones that set the expectation for everybody else that comes in there?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it starts from the top, and you mentioned those guys, Pat, and those are guys that obviously that they're the best at what they do, but they also, they respect one another and they respect the process. And so when you have an off season and the multiple Super Bowl and league MVP is at every practice, and you have a guy like Travis Kelce who's traveling all over the world but still makes time to come back for the OTAs, and same thing with Chris Jones. I mean, all these guys know how important each step of the process is, and so when we bring in a new class of whether they're free agents or rookies, and they see that example set by those guys, everyone just kind of falls in line.
What is it about Andy Reid you think that makes him so special and makes him the perfect guy for that job?
Well, he has a hard exterior, AJ, and so I think maybe people think one way about him, but the reality of it is, I think the reason why he is so successful is that he is very in tune with, the different style of players, and I say this many times. when I first met Andy back in the day in Philadelphia, I mean, it was kind of no nonsense, and it was his way or no way. He's able to adapt to this new generation of players, and he understands how to connect with these guys, and he does a great job of incorporating his assistant coaches to get some different ideas. And he's not one of those guys that always thinks he has, the best idea or the right idea. He wants to take input from others, and he's also able to adapt and adjust to different style of players.
I love what you just said there about adapting and evolving and everything, because anytime you hear anybody talk about Chiefs team, they say it is old school though. So he's able to adapt and evolve, but the accountability, everything, I think jerseys have to be tucked in at practice every single day. Like there's a lot of old school traits while still evolving and connecting to the modern athlete. There's no wonder the guy's so good.
Yep.
And he's got that great mustache.
Fantastic.
Great mustache. I mean, that thing is phenomenal there. Now,